I don't, like I said, I don't think I haven't been this confident in the outcome of a fight since Wilder and Fury. So yeah,
Right.
not even playing. I'm not even playing. Like I honestly think that well, Spence is getting stopped. I really think so because
Hmm.
it's just kind of been the same thing for years. Where like between Spence's fans talking about this mythical power that he has, where he can just crush you in one shot, and he has this boxing ability that he can fall back on somehow if him just putting pressure and just being heavy on the front foot and just hitting whenever he wants, wherever he wants doesn't work. It's like it's a bunch of bullshit, man. It's just a bunch of bullshit. There are stylistic advantages that every fighter has in every single fight that's ever happened, and in my opinion, I think that Crawford checks too many boxes in every area and does too many things that are going to give Spence problems. And then on top of that, if you really want to get deep into it, Spence's lifestyle leading up to this fight is going to play a role in how this fight goes. Also, you know,
Hmm.
Crawford is always in
Yeah.
shape, always. He's
Yeah.
always in the
Yeah.
gym. He's always focused. He's not out here getting in shit. He's hungry. Spence, on the other
Yeah.
hand, is out here drinking, flipping cars, kissing rappers, getting fat in between fights. I mean, and then on top
Hmm.
of that, you're already weight bullying. You're competing at a weight that you shouldn't even been at in the first place, but your promoter knew that there was more money at 147 than 154. Good on them. Yes, that's what a good promoter does. But you've been sucking down to this weight ever since your pro career started. It's not getting any easier. You change your strength conditioning coach, you change your nutritionist. Those kind of like just based on experience. Those kind of they're weird signs. When I say they're bad signs, but they're kind of weird signs. And then
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we could get into all the bullet points of the advantages that Crawford has and Spence has. It all depends on who you talk to because you can tell who they favor based on the things that they say and how they write off certain things that are just kind of glaring. So like,
Hmm.
while I think Crawford is going to win, there are a lot of things that Spence does right and he has a
Hmm.
window of opportunity to knock Crawford out or to take the fight
Hmm.
away from him, but that window of opportunity is in the first part of the fight. I think that characteristically,
Right.
based on every Crawford fight that I've seen, once he gets past the fourth, fifth round,
Yeah.
if you don't get him, he's going to
Hmm.
get you.
I
That's
agree.
just all there is to it. If you don't get him, he's going to get you. He gets better as the fight goes along. So his
Yeah. Yeah.
if
Hmm.
I'm Derek James, I'm like, okay, this is going to be a tough camp for a multitude of reasons, but in camp we need to focus on these things. We need to focus on having a plan A through Z because one, we don't know if Crawford is going to come out and fight us as a southpaw. We don't know if he's going to fight us as an orthodox. I think based on what I've been seeing from his training videos, I think he's going to fight Spence as a right-handed fighter because he'll have the advantage with the right hand as far as being a counter puncher. From the counter punching standpoint, he'll have the advantage with the right hand against Spence, whereas having a shootout is more likely if he goes southpaw against southpaw with Spence. You see what I'm saying? Like Spence will have
Hmm.
more of an advantage because all he has to do is go straight forward. He doesn't have to avoid the backhand going straight forward, which is characteristically what Spence
Right.
does. He either stutter steps, right? He shifts, he pivots, or he'll take two steps, throw 1-2, or throw a double jab left hand, right? And then he has this thing.
Hmm.
He has this thing where he has throwaway shots where
Hmm.
he'll throw a jab, left hand, right hook combination. He'll miss the right hook, but it puts him in position to go to the body because he can close the distance from there. It's a throwaway shot. He doesn't even expect to land it half the time. See what I'm saying? But it puts him in position where he's
Yeah.
the most
Yeah.
effective
Yeah.
at the range he wants to be at, which is in the pocket. But here's the caveat to that. The
Hmm.
caveat is every fight that we've seen from Errol Spence, the fighters that don't have effective jabs and that don't move are the guys that get beat up the way that they do against Errol Spence. I don't think Crawford's going to be there to be hit
Exactly.
like that. He's just not.
No.
And Crawford has switching to fall back on, and he's defensively responsible. So is Crawford going to give Errol Spence the opportunity to throw the punches that he wants to throw? Because once again, like the Inoue fight, Spence is used to getting his way every single fight. What happens and what adjustments can Errol Spence make when the fight's not going his way? What? Be heavier on the front foot, throw more
Right.
punches? Crawford's going to catch you in between punches and knock you out.
Yep.
You know, so
Yeah.
you know, it's just once again, there's some significant things playing in the favor of both guys, but I think in a fight that goes over 6 rounds, it's Crawford's game if it goes over 6 rounds. Within 6, it's Spence's. It Spence has a good chance. So the first 3-4 rounds will tell you everything you need to know. That window will close, in my opinion, if Spence can't get Crawford out of there within 4 or 5. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
And then, you know, don't rule out a robbery. Don't rule that out either.
Of course not.
I said it the other day. If it's 8-4 for Crawford, if you score this fight 8-4 or you score it 7-5 for Crawford, you know it ain't going to Crawford. That's just point blank period. It ain't going to him. You know, so hopefully there's whoever wins this fight, they win it in a convincing manner, and then, you know, we can just move the fuck on with our lives, because I'm sick of talking about Crawford and Spence. It's been 6 years of this shit, so, you know.
Well, hold on though. Hold on. You gotta put some more respect on Spence's name though, because I think what he's gonna do is he's gonna show us that he can really box like he did against Mikey Garcia.
Yeah, he was trying to show off his boxing ability, man. You know,
his boxing skills.
You know?
Yeah, I think that's what he's coming to do this Saturday.
Yeah,
he's gonna show the boxing skills.
Yeah, he's trying to show them boxing skills. You know, and I would like to point out, you know, you or anybody else, has anybody else ever seen Spence fight off the back foot?
No.
What happens when you put?
Actually, I've seen him try.
What happens?
I've seen him try.
What happens when you put Errol Spence on his back foot? That is a huge.
That boy.
That is a huge question.
He throws off balance.
Yeah, that is a huge question that I have. What happens when you put a guy who is the most he's mostly effective going forward? What happens when you put him on his back foot? What happens?
That would be off balance.
What happens? Can he fight going backwards? I haven't seen it happen yet.
Nope.
I have not seen it happen yet. And Crawford is more than capable of making that happen, making Spence go backwards.
You know what happens? The same thing that happened to him in the Ugas fight when he was bouncing off that fucking rope looking for his damn mouthpiece. That's what happens.
Yeah. Shit. You know, I've seen a little too much of Errol getting hit a lot. He's getting hit more and more every fight. And I was just like, I don't know, man. And I don't give a shit what anybody says. Like, this whole thing about Spence's power, yes, he's got thump. I agree. But I think that if Crawford can eat the shots that he took from Mean Machine, I think he'll be just fine against Spence. That's what I think, because I think that Mean Machine hits harder than Errol.
Right. Yeah.
You don't have to agree with it.
I agree.
Nobody has to agree with it. That's just my opinion. I think he hits harder than Errol Spence. Granted, Mean Machine, he's a right-handed fighter. Errol Spence is a left-handed fighter. The advantages are different, but you know, when Crawford got cracked and he got dropped, I was like, damn, that would have put most people out, because that overhand right, that shit looked like it hurt. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. You know
what? Real quick, going back to the him fighting fighters that move and don't stay right there in front of him. I think anybody could look at the fight with him against Porter, and they could see what happens when somebody moves too much.
Yeah.
That's a good example. And Porter's not even like, his footwork ain't even like all that. He's just very active.
Yeah.
He's not, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and Porter's, that jerky style, that's very, very hard to time. Like, while Porter he smothers his own work in the process. Like, Porter gave Errol Spence so many issues because Porter didn't give Errol Spence the opportunity to set and throw power shots. He was kind of manhandling Spence at the range where, Spence gets the most work off. So, once again, different fight, but I just, like, once again, like, Errol, like, Crawford is not going to be there to be hit like Porter was. He's not going to be there to be hit like Ugas. He's not going to be there to be hit like, like Garcia.
Both Garcia.
Yeah, and people want to see her talk shit about Crawford being 36. It's like, okay, here's the difference. Crawford is not a hard 36. Crawford always stays in shape. Crawford, has had some pretty tough fights, and I think some of the guys that he's fought, people overlook them for what they were at that time, but I just think that age hasn't caught up to Crawford yet. If he beats Errol, and let's say perfect situation, he beats Errol and he fights Ennis, which is mandatory, Ennis has a good chance of winning. He does.
Right.
He does. Ennis needs to fight better opponents, but if I were Ennis's trainer and I watched Crawford knock Spence out, I'd be like, hey, we ain't fighting him yet. Not yet. Not yet. That'd be a bad idea. But but that's what people don't understand. It's all about boxing and the way that camps move and the way that trainers and managers think. They don't jump straight into situations where they're just like, oh yeah, we're gonna fight a guy coming off a knockout win. That's heavily taken into consideration when these dudes make fights. Like, nah, we're not gonna do that yet. We're gonna let him fight one more time, or we're gonna try to get the fights that we need one more time, and then we're gonna get in there and try to fight Crawford, because it's clear that Ennis didn't want to fight Crawford in the first place. He wanted to fight Spence. So
because he ranked for the IBF. So he was just been running this. He talk about he been calling him out since 2018. I'm like, dude, nobody even knew who you were.
Yeah, where the fuck were you in 2018? But at the end of the day, like, I think Ennis is probably going to be the next big thing at 147. Or for all we know, he might bypass 147 and just chase Spence up to 154. Who the fuck knows, man? Who knows at the end of the day?
He can. He has the
size. But
I mean,
now that Virgil's out of the picture at 147, I thought that was going to be a fight that people would start talking about eventually. Like, okay, this fight's done. Crawford and Spence, or Spence is moving on to 154. Crawford is, kind of sitting back, waiting to see what happens, who he's going to fight next. All right, the next big fight at 147 would be Ennis and Ortiz. But, Ortiz, his health is not very good, so.
Well, that's why if I'm Ennis, me personally, I know I put this on Twitter a couple times. I said, my what I see Ennis could do, if you're making weight at 147 comfortably, go ahead, wait for those belts to go up in the air. I'm pretty sure there ain't gonna be a rematch after this fight for Spence and Crawford. To be honest,
if it ends in a knockout, I don't think so.
Yeah, which I think it will, me personally. And if I'm Ennis, I'm making weight okay at 147. I'm still young. He's like 26, I think. Still, he's still young. He could be the next wave of 147 and collect all the belts. And then by the time he gets to 154, he still be the wave for 154 because he still got years to go. You know what I'm saying?
What's that shit you've been saying for years? You've been saying the timing, right? The timing between these three dudes is a little too significant, right? Where it's like Jamal's gonna move up, then Jermel's gonna move up, then Spence is gonna move up. Right? I think that's kind of been the plan and the business model for years, but now that Spence is out of people to fight, he doesn't have anybody else he can fight and really make any money. Like, this fight had to happen. So, but we'll see what happens. We will see We will see what happens this weekend. But all I know is Crawford wins by knockout. I'm talking shit. The rest of the year.
Easy. I'm going into the next half of next of next year talking shit. I don't give a fuck.
I'm talking shit. It's not that I'm gonna be talking shit about Errol Spence because I respect Errol Spence as a fighter. I'm talking shit.
I'm going at the fans.
His dumbass fans, man. like his.
Oh man.
I can't like there are just so many things about his fan base and Tank's fan base that were just reminiscent of Pacquiao fans, where Pacquiao fans were just popping off and saying some of the craziest shit when, you know, that whole Mayweather thing, you know, was going on. It's just like, damn, like Pacquiao is fucking superhuman to Pacquiao fans, and you see the same shit with Errol Spence and Tank. Like, no matter what the situation is, it's like he just wins every time. You know,
like
it's not the way fighting works. You know, fighting doesn't work that way. You know, so
you think they would have figured that out by now, but
yeah, you know, but it's not the fight, it's not the fighters, it's the fans, man. Like Errol Spence's fans are out of control.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I've had to check a couple Crawford fans too. Like me, I'm a big fan of Crawford, but I always say I'm still a fan of. I like Errol Spence box as well. He brings exciting fights. But
well, it's like my every time I watch a fight, you know, and you know, my chick's around, she asks me the same question every single time: who do you want to win? And my answer is always the same: whoever deserves to win. That shows my impartiality toward both dudes. Like, yeah, I have an idea who I think will win, but at the end of the day, it's a fight. It's a fight, and whoever deserves to win should win. So if Errol deserves to win, I think he should win. If he deserves to win, the fight says, Errol deserves to win, then boom, he should win. If Crawford deserves to win, then he should win. Just like Haney and Lomachenko, right? I mean, we were there. I watched it, and everybody that was sitting around us, they kept saying the same thing. Lomachenko is beating Haney's ass, right? To the point where people started getting up and leaving during the 11th round, right? So it's like that man deserved to win that fight, and he did, and he didn't win. You know, it's not that I think Haney's a shitty fighter, because I think Haney's fantastic. It just, you didn't win that, man. They gave it to you, but you didn't beat him. You did not beat him. So, you know, I look at every single fight like that objectively. I'm not a fanboy or a fan of any specific fighter. I'm a fan of the sport, you know, and I just want to see an honest fight and the man that deserves the win to get the win. You know, and if Spence gets the win, then fine. Spence gets that's fine. You know, I ain't gonna sit here, get on Twitter and cry about it or whatever. You know, it's like, nah. I want to see a good fight. That's what I'm paying for. I want to see two capable athletes beat the shit out of each other. That's why we all pay to watch. You know, so
exactly.
Yeah, man. You know, it all these dudes who just have all this emotional stock in one specific fighter. That shit is weird to me, man. It's like, all right, are you going to have a nervous breakdown and start crying in your shower in the fetal position or some shit like that if this dude loses? Like, get out of here, man.